Hello. Yeah, this is going to be random and it's nothing like anything I've made before, although I've deleted all my old stuff anyway. And I probably won't really do anything until the new year when I hopefully have a new webcam, because I just fucking hate this one. It says HD on the front and it's like, does this look like HD? Anyway, what I wanted to make a video about, I've kind of been watching a lot of the like goth related videos on YouTube recently, which I'd never really done before, and there's kind of something that's really frustrated me is that so many people seem to be like vastly missing the point. And this is probably going to sound like a really dissy rant, and it's not intended to. But yeah, there's this like huge obsession with babybats and posers and the dreaded "what is goth," which I hate so much. I'll get onto that later. But and then which leads into the like what you have to do to be goth, listening to loads and loads of 80s bands and nothing that doesn't come out of the 80s, and big black crimped hair and black and white Cleopatra eyes and flowy black clothes, and so essentially like really tightly sticking with the trad goth 80s stereotype. And a friend of mine explained this really well. She was around on the goth scene in the 80s, and the way she put it was that to dress in that way and to listen to that music in the 80s was really kind of new and innovative and original, and just like real freedom of expression. But to stick tightly to that trad goth 80s stereotype now is just squeezing yourself into a stereotype and essentially conforming. So all of this stuff about being the most perfect goth and who is the most goth and not being goth enough, essentially seems to mean who sticks the most tightly with this stereotype. So whoever is the most goth person is just the most conformist person. And it's like, to my mind, at the heart of goth is originality and freedom of expression and creativity, and not like conformity and stereotypes is the fucking opposite of that. And like the irony is just blinding, and I feel it probably leads to this kind of sinister phenomenon of people pruning down their personality and their interests in order to more perfectly fit into this little box, and people trying to make themselves little goth robots only doing goth things. And it's like, to occasionally listen to a band that isn't goth and to wear a colour and to do something that isn't remotely goth, see a fucking reggae band or something, does not make you less goth. It just makes you a more interesting, diverse, eclectic person, and that should be revered and encouraged, not quashed. And that's kind of why I hate all these what is goth videos, because I feel like what goth is and what makes a person goth is so individual to everyone that it should never be dictated to you by anyone, let alone a stranger on the internet. This is rambling. And like, in terms of kind of elitism and babybats and stuff, I don't think anyone should ever worry about being new to a scene or not knowing everything, because no one knows everything. And no one should ever pretend they know everything. And I've never been sneered at ever in like 13 years on the goth scene for liking bands that aren't goth occasionally, and etc, etc. And if you are being kind of tormented and sneered at by some like elitist cunt, in your life, then why are you seeking to ingratiate yourself to someone who's being a bitch? They're not worthy of your time and effort. They're not a decent calibre of person. You should just ignore them. And when everyone follows your lead and starts ignoring them, they'll find they've got no friends, and they'll probably have to stop being such a bitch. So you've done the world a favour. And in terms of trying to be the most goth and caring about elitism and poses and all this shit, I mean, particularly if you're in high school or you're recently out of high school, surely like part of your reason for becoming interested in goth in the first place must have been to break away from that bullshit kind of cliquey culture of popularity and who's got the most awesome trendy clothes and who's got the most up-to-date cell phone and all of that shit. So goth should be a place that's free from all of that crap, and no one really wants to bring that cliquey elitist popularity contest high school bullshit into the goth community. I hate that word. So yeah, I just feel all these people are kind of getting the wrong idea that you shouldn't seek to make yourself a stereotype. You should revel in your individuality, and the reason that the scene has kind of thrived for such a long time is that it's so hugely diverse now, and it's come to encompass all these other kind of genres and clothing styles and stuff like that. And you know, you as a member of the scene should be a part of that and bring your kind of individual personality traits and interests into it, and you know, be proud of creating your own style and your own niche within goth. You know, you shouldn't try and turn yourself into a boring little goth robot, because the scene would fucking suck and it would be incredibly boring if everyone was like that and no one brought anything else with them. And it's not a terrible thing to have interests outside the goth scene, because in terms of like world population, the goth scene is a tiny amount of people, and you're really like restricting the amount of human beings that you can have a meaningful interaction with. So it's no like diabolical thing to have friends outside the goth scene with, you know, other interests you share with them, because you are an individual. And frankly, it would be weird if every single one of the things that you enjoyed doing and your interests fell within the goth category. You know, if you're into kind of some kind of sport or some other kind of music, or, you know, whatever, like, you shouldn't seek to quash that. You should find people in or out of the goth scene who share that interest with you, and it's a part of you. You shouldn't ever try and like destroy it. You should be proud of it. And this is like so freaking waffly and long and rambly, so I think I'm going to shut up now, but I hope I've like vaguely made some kind of a point. So I'm going to shut up now. Bye bye.